Suzanne, what is that Seva stuff?
Oh, Kate, I thought you'd never ask. Our little bridge here today is Dr. Nicole Grasset with the then very young Grateful Dead guitarist Bobby Weir. They're at our December 1979 board meeting in California. Even in the first weeks of Seva, Bobby became very involved. Although he was on the road constantly with the band, he always found time for Seva, reading his board packet, coming to meetings, and being very well informed and very involved. And he got a lot of opportunities for in-depth conversations with Nicole Grasset, with Dr. Venkateswamy from India, with one of our key mentors from Nepal, Dr. Ramprasad Pokral. I have pictures of Bobby with all those people. But this picture was taken just right around the time that Seva had one of its first concerts, the first concert by the Grateful Dead to raise funds for Seva. And there are a couple things to note. First of all, once again, this is hearkening back to our original California office in the Castro. And it was signed by our then executive director, Jahanra Romney. And Ja was executive director from about 1979 to 1982. There's a lot embedded with this press release to announce a Grateful Dead concert on behalf of Seva, the 26th of December, 1979. It was being done that night after a press conference. But what I love is right tucked down there at the bottom of the page is a quote from Bob Weir, and it's talking about the fact that on that date in December 1979, the fundraising concert would be happening and funds would go to Seva projects. It was so important that he was willing to have his name associated with the press release and express his personal commitment to Seva. As many of you know, this was the beginning then of Seva having a information table at literally hundreds of Grateful Dead shows for the subsequent decade and a half or more. So it was hearkening the beginning of a very, very important relationship. That relationship is described further in a little television clip that Adam has prepared for us here. This is Bob Weir. This was a recording done for a popular television show in the early 80s called Nice People. No kidding. There was a TV show called Nice People, and they would feature 2 or 3 nice people every week. And this particular week, one of the featured people was Bob Weir talking about Seva. And Adam has carved out a portion of the TV segment so we can enjoy 4 minutes of Bob talking about Seva. We'll see a little Seva footage, but then the real treat is that you'll also see and hear Seva's executive director at the time, Jahanra Romney, thanking Bob for the immense work he'd already been doing for Seva only 1 or 2 years into our existence. And of course, Bob continues to do that today. So this is just a 4-minute clip from a longer interview.
The Seva organization, Society for Epidemiology and Voluntary Assistance, is a program to eliminate needless blindness in developing nations, focusing right now on Nepal. It's basically a public health organization with a sort of an overview of world health, and not just healthy bodies, but healthy economies, healthy everything, healthy ecology. And that's my favorite foundation. I'm a fundraiser and do publicity for Seva. Those are what my skills are, and I encourage people to support it as well.
Well, here we are. We get to have some fun. You get to have some fun, and a whole lot of people in a faraway country get to benefit by it. I think that's nice.
All of my love, all of my kissing, you don't know what you've been missing, oh boy. When you're with me, oh boy, I want the world to see that you
were meant for me.
The helicopter was paid for, not by free publicity, but by a concert that was done with the help of Bob Weir and other members of the Grateful Dead, and Country Joe and other artists.
The helicopter that Seva director Johanna Romney is talking about was donated to replace another that had crashed. The only problem was how to get it from Arizona to the Himalayas. Johanna explains how Weir, as anonymous in Nepal as he is famous in America, may be one of the best friends the Nepalese people ever had.
Last year, the program came to a point where it was almost grinding to a halt because we didn't have the necessary helicopter to get up into the higher hills where the rest of the work needed to be done. There was a time when it seemed like someone was offering to pay the cost of this transportation, which was about $30,000. And so we called out all of our friends and said, please be prepared, anybody we knew that could call a press conference, please be prepared to help us publicize this helicopter company. Bob responded and said that he would be willing to do that anytime, anywhere. That was the time when I stopped thinking of Bob Weir as a famous rock and roll star, and I started thinking of him as one of the few really reliable people that I know in the world.
Nepal was chosen because of the challenge, the differences of terrain and the difficulty, the degree of difficulty in dealing with it, and the occurrence of the problem, the amount of the occurrence of needless blindness, and the differing kinds is perhaps the biggest challenge there is. It's one of the 4 poorest nations on Earth, and almost every kind of needless blindness that exists there, and so it's the place to start.
One time he attended the Seva Board of Directors meeting, and we were all going around the circle and saying why it was we were doing what we were doing within Seva, and his answer was, I'm doing it because I can.
Virtually every major religion on Earth says if you get some, you got to give some back. You know, you got to keep things rolling, and I think that's, you know, it probably falls into just the nature of the universe, the way things work. If you don't feed what's feeding you, then something's going to atrophy. You have to give back, and I think people are starting to wake up again because the world's kind of a mess right now. As long as we're trying to engineer the possibility of a future for this planet, we might as well try to engineer into that future some quality for life. If we can manage to keep this planet going, then it ought to be also a nice place to live.
So that's from the Atlanta-based show, Nice People, circa 1981, Bob Weir and Johanna, and file footage from Nepal.
Hey, thanks, Suzanne. That was so amazing.
There's a lot more where that came from. Stay tuned on our social media channels for more.